Hey, 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 welcome back to Drive Time. I am your host, Craig Pasta Jardula, and we do it live, bringing you all the hot takes, headlines, and unfiltered opinions that matter most. Whether you're stuck in traffic, cruising to work, or just chilling at home, we want to hear from you. Today's topics are all about the big stories making waves, but we're not just here to talk at you. We want to hear your thoughts, your experiences, and your take on everything from the latest political debates to the everyday challenges we face. Remember, whether you're on the left, the right, or somewhere in between, we welcome all points of view. So grab that hands-free device, dial us up, and let's dive into the conversation. What's on your mind? It's Drive Time. Call in now. Notes beyond notes, beyond notes, beyond notes. How you doing, everybody? How's the hair looking? Looking good, right? Yeah, hopefully. I have to. I'm waking you up in the morning. Got to look pretty. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Drive Time. I am your host, Craig Pasta Jardula. Of course, with me in the wings, hanging out, Sleepy J. How you doing?
Good morning, everybody.
That's about 3 more cups of coffee before we start hitting the Mountain Dew. That's what I hear in the voice. Or maybe I'm wrong. I can never.
No, you're right. I'm on what I call my UGG cup. It holds 3 cups of coffee.
Wow. You know what the problem is, Sleepy? I'm such a coffee snob, but I love my coffee black, dark, and hot. So even like, my mom's aides that are here, they'll always pour me a cup of coffee. We're very close. I was just as she was coming in, I'm yelling, sac passe. We're laughing through the door. But they even know, like, just to pour me like 3/4 of a cup, right? Because I got to drink it hot. And I drink like 1/4 of that. And then when I pour in the hot coffee, it's still pretty hot from what was left over, right? See, Gabrielle Freedom knows.
I drink it pretty quick.
Drink their coffee that way, by the way. Just want to say that. Go ahead.
I just drink it pretty quick, so it stays hot.
Yeah, I know. You can put mud and caffeine in a cup, 3 of them, and give them to you, and you'll be slopping them down.
Yep.
What are you on the French press? Are you on the French press?
Yeah. I'm on my French press.
I need the coffee. I missed the coffee because I just got to keep hitting the pot, and I want it hot the whole time. So that's that.
Well, French press coffee is pretty strong.
What's that, buddy?
I said it's pretty strong coffee, so I like it.
I got a small Keurig in here, so therefore, I'm going to set that up too as well. I'm going to put my lights up, my TV up, my camera on the wall, get some stuff stationary. I'm still kind of moving stuff around here because this is still the laundry room too as well.
So if you're forced to drink Keurig coffee, see if you can find jet fuel.
Jet fuel. You know what I'm drinking right now is Death Wish Espresso Roast. But
The Death Wish is good.
I'm going to go to Nicaragua and get my own coffee. Because like I said, interesting stuff was on the phone with Nicaragua yesterday, guys. You got to pay attention to what's going on in Latin America. Whatever they do, the empire that is, whatever the empire does abroad, they will come home. The chickens will come home to roost, and they will bring those tactics over here. Look what's going on right now. Flock cameras everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Due process out the window, right? People are forgetting, like, oh, that's just for immigrants. They didn't earn due process. Yes, they did. It says for everybody. But what happened during COVID? We're going to have Nico House on in a little bit. We're going to talk about COVID. We might get some of his friends in trouble, but I don't care. Because it's like, when it comes to like the Green Party, not forgiven. Not forgiven. No way, no how. I'll bring Ian Schlockman, my good friend, on this show. I will not forget what those bastards did, right? In the steering committee, high-ranking members when it came to COVID. Even Jill Stein, Dr. Stein, sucked on that issue. She wasn't awful. She didn't want mandates, but I'm sorry. Unless you were, you're not an anti-imperialist unless you're anti-COVID protocols. That's the first time you're probably going to hear that.
At least she was against mandates. That's more than a lot of them were.
What?
I said at least she was against mandates. That's more than we got from a lot of people.
Nope, not enough. Bioweapon.
I'm not saying I'm going to vote for her. I'm just saying at least she was, there.
You could say that, and that's the safe position because you don't want to talk about it because she had a lot of people in her camp that believed in it. And that's what I'm saying. That's the biggest difference. There's no reason to support the Green Party as a whole. That's what I'm saying.
I stopped supporting the Green Party once they started rigging their own fucking primaries. They're just Democrat light. Like, I don't need that shit.
That's all it is. And that's all the Libertarian Party turned out to be, Republican light. That's what you got in America. Co-opted, undermanaged, what's the word? Improperly managed. Wow. And to be honest with you, Angela McArdle was a good chair. I mean, I think she's back to being the chair again. She was pretty decent. She'd see her in a press conference. She was awesome. I said at one point she's by far the best. What's the word I'm looking for? Man, coffee. I heard my mom yell for me and stuff like that. But anyways, she was the best chair of any party for sure. I was looking for a different word, a more sophisticated word. Being on top of stuff, reactive and whatnot. I mean, like in a press conference, people would throw questions at her, and I'd be in the press conference asking tough questions. That was always the good thing. You could see that too. Like every time that Tulsi looked at me, she's like, "Okay, I know this dude. I know he kind of supports me, but ain't no softballs. He's coming with a 98 heater down the pipe, right?" When I asked her about China, and she didn't know, man. I didn't want to play the video, but Fiorella's like, "Shut up. Put the video up. She don't know about China. She need to learn about China." But it was about not Taiwan, Hong Kong, right?
Gotcha.
She didn't know about the Hong Kong Decency Act or whatever it was called. And in Congress they make these bills sound all nice and fluffy. It was the Hong Kong Democracy and
big
Freedom
beautiful
Act,
bill,
like that. What's that?
Big beautiful bill.
Yeah. The infrastructure.
When it's like the
bill.
worst shit ever in those laws.
Oh my God. So the Hong Kong Democracy and Freedom Act, right? And I kind of asked her about that, and I caught her. And Samira Khan, if you don't know who Samira Khan is she was Miss Pakistan one year. Beautiful woman, model, everything, the whole nine yards. But she worked at RT for a while. And she was really anti-Tulsi. She clipped up my video and put it out there and used it against her. Man. So even though I was a supporter,
it turned out she was right. So
even though at a time I was a supporter, fastball down the middle. It's my job, right? Dude, I did the same thing to RFK, right? I did this. I'm out there. I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm gonna support this guy. This is awesome, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, all his measures on the COVID and stuff. And way before the Gaza, we should really name that something different. Like, they just say October 6th, whatever, right? Or October 7th, or
I don't know, Nakba 2.0.
Yeah, something better.
That might work.
Like how they name those bills. The freedom movement, like the Gazan Popular Front Freedom Movement, whatever it was. You know what I'm saying? Like, by international law standards, they were allowed to do what they did, right? Even before that, October 7th, Fred's got to tell me every single time, Fred, man, I love you, brother. Thank you so much. Wow. Even before that, I was supporting him. I went up to New Hampshire. It was right after that whole time with Roger Waters when he was putting up the tweet and taking it down. And everybody was talking about that tweet. I called it the tweet heard around the world. Matt Orfella liked it. He goes, "Who named it that?" I'm like, "I did," and he laughed. Okay, like to call me "shut up, Pasta," whatever. I don't know if he necessarily liked it, but he did mention it. I said, "The tweet heard around the world, Mr. RFK. Why did you do it? And also, what's your stance on Israel-Palestine?" And that shit just went viral because he answered in a Zionist fashion. I think people were still kind of like stunned, and I think they were still a little bit like unsure about how he would be because once again, October 7th never had happened yet. This is before that, but I was ahead of it, and I was even supporting him, and I knew he'd get in trouble, and I saw the way Dennis Kucinich looked at me like this, and Stephanie, I forgot her name, the one who was she was the, ladies and gentlemen, our guest Nico House is in here. Let's bring him on in. Nico, we were just talking about, even though I was in the room with Tulsi, she knew who I was, and it was the press gaggle. She still knew. She gave me that look like, "Oh, shit. I know this dude. He supports me, but no softballs. Here comes a fastball, 98 miles down the pipe." And I was talking about the time I asked her about the Hong Kong Decency and Freedom Act, and she didn't know what was going on. And Samira Khan went and clipped that shit and used it against her. You know what I'm saying? It was like, and I didn't want to put it up. I was like, "Fam, maybe we should put up a Fiorello." I was like, "You shut up, Pasta. We'll put it up. You know what? We got a job to do." I did it to RFK. I was supporting the dude way before October 7th, asked them about, Gaza and Israel. So it's like,
Mhm.
that's our job. Even though we like somebody, maybe support somebody, we have an activist side, we still have a job to do. And if it's
No,
the
so
topic of the time, we got to talk about it. And just real quick, I'm going to hand it over to you,
mhm.
Nico, because I'm going to get myself in trouble with some of your friends because I'm ragging on the Green Party today, and we got some friends of yours
My
that
friends,
there's some of your
the
friends
Green
out
Party
there
not that they're
supporting.
not all that happy with me. Which
No, but we'll talk about the Black Caucus and what they did and how what the steering committee did to them on COVID. But anyways,
Mhm.
just saying that it's our job to do those things. We have to do that. And Nico even said during the time of COVID, if you ain't talking about COVID, you ain't doing the news. And there were a lot of people not talking about COVID. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say it's funny because people don't even realize how many relationships that we've severed with friends and colleagues because we did our jobs. And they couldn't understand how we were able to hold both our activism side and our journalistic integrity in the same box and continue going on like it's not like because we would I mean like Paz was saying even when we were working alongside Tulsi and we supported her or Bernie for that matter or Nina Turner for that matter we asked them the hardest questions hands down not like the superficial questions that people would see on X every day. I was asking. I did a whole video before I even asked her about it, but specifically talking about the lies about what was happening in Syria and Assad using chemical weapons, etc. Pazza talked about the Hong Kong thing. I mean, there were a plethora of issues that we challenged them on. I challenged Nina Turner and Bernie Sanders publicly on election integrity and their lack of addressing it. And Nina actually did go out of her way the second time to try and address it. And that's how it was exposed that the Bernie campaign was purposely ignoring it. So we've severed ties because of our integrity a lot of the times. Like people don't like us because where we are consistent in challenging these politicians or activists or journalists, even those we are friends with, other people aren't going to do that, or at least at the very bare minimum, they're not going to challenge a particular idea, policy, a failure, if you will, of some of these people until everyone finally has no choice but to agree, which is what we're seeing a lot right now regarding COVID and the vaccine and things like that. And Dr. Fauci, the things that we have been saying, Pasta, myself, Urella, Johnny, shout out to Johnny. Kim Iverson made The Hill famous for covering COVID. I mean, these things
She
that
was
we've been talking.
awesome. She was
Yeah,
awesome. Yeah.
oh God. I mean,
Some of our friends that still bust her chops to this day, Nico, I'm like, what are you kidding me? It's like, well, opinions on this. And I'm like, yeah, she's not going to be perfect. But if you know
yeah,
Kim the way we know Kim, and don't get me wrong, I don't agree with the girl on everything, you know what I'm saying? And there's relationships that she's had out there with other people in the business, right? You know what I'm saying? Whatever the case may
yeah,
be. Maybe she could have been a little nicer to sever those things, whatever. But at the end of the day, that's a real freaking person. It's her real
yeah.
opinions. Nobody pulls her strings. She's got
That is
her
a
own
very
voice, and she had the balls. And not only that, she had the knowledge to present it in a mainstream media way on the Hill.
yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah.
always respect her because of that alone, her work on COVID
She
alone. And you can
especially
hate on me. I don't give a F. She
especially
deserves
because
some credit for that.
so Kim, people forget Kim was not a political journalist. She was not a news presenter.
Yeah.
She was a pop culture radio
Radio
host.
host.
Like, and she flipped
Yeah.
on a dime and did so in impressive fashion to the point where it's like, okay, I don't. Whenever Kim and I have a disagreement, and y'all have to understand, like, for me, I know Kim personally. We're friends. Pasta knows Kim personally. Like I know her. When she says something, we'll argue to the ground. But I know I'm arguing with her because I'm like, Kim, why are you being so fucking hard headed? Because it's Kim. It ain't, well, it's because I'm worried about what this guy thinks, what this person thinks. I'm trying to protect my career. Kim, if it comes down to her opinion and her career, Kim actually give a fuck about her career, if you can believe that. She doesn't care. She don't care if she has to sever ties with the politician. She doesn't care if she has to sever ties with the journalist. She does not care.
Yeah.
And so I prefer keeping somebody like that around as a friend and a colleague.
Principled.
Yeah, because you're principled.
Yeah.
I can
when
respect
she didn't
that.
get the Fauci interview, when they cut her out of the Fauci interview,
And she was like,
quit. She
peace.
said peace.
And
I mean, come on. So, I'm
that's
talking
like
to some of my
confirmed.
friends that I love that hate on Kim, some of the people in our network. But, hey, They got their opinions.
Yeah,
Whatever.
I mean, but at once again, people can have their opinions about different people. We've always had our opinions about various people that we work with. Like that's never. But at the end of the day, my question is, okay, yeah, I mean, I can see how you can dislike that person's opinion, but like you like this individual who you know is full of shit, and you still like. So what's the
Right?
difference? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know that individual is full of shit. You're fully aware of it. And they go on to proceed and make excuses for why that person is full of shit and why it's okay. It's like, okay, but then you can't complain about me being friends with somebody who's real that I disagree with.
Yeah. I got some problems when people are full of shit. I'm just not gonna say it because I'm gonna take the high. I'm gonna plead the fifth.
We're going to say that for another
I'm
show.
gonna plead the fifth. I got a lot of notes here, Nico. We've been on vacay. I've been still doing some shows, except I missed one show that I was not supposed to miss. I had a little bit too much fun in in Peru. But come on, it was part of a celebration. We're trying to
Bro, how was
up.
it, man? I'm so heartbroken I couldn't go, bro. I'm so heartbroken.
Well, your boy on Monday at the birthday party of our friend's aunt won the dance contest. A white man gringo winning a dance contest in Latin America. Holler at your boy. I won a bunch of liquor I couldn't bring on the airplane because I didn't have
I'm going to teach you a new slang phrase in Portuguese. It's called para de caô. Stop capping, pasta. Ain't no way. Did you really win?
Yeah. It was a fun disco dance contest. Yeah. I'd show you pictures, but I'm wearing a big afro and I don't want to get it out there because, I don't want people hating on me on the web.
Oh, yeah.
So,
pasta blackface.
So, Nico, this is what we're going to start off with today. Guys, we're going to remind you all, the phone lines are open, 561-247-2721. That is 561-247-2721. That's Bernie Sanders Blackjack. $27 the donations. What a cuck that guy has begun. So, listen, we had on Don DeBar, who filled in for Andrew last week. He also called in the show on Wednesday. Karen Kwiatkowski was on. It was shortly after the Fauci hearings. I think a lot of us gave us our opinions about it. My opinion, and I'll hand it to you because we got to get caught up on your opinion. We got to get Nico House's opinion on the Fauci hearing. But to me, I keep on saying it's just like Democrat, Republican. Everybody's fixated on Donald Trump right now, what he's doing, how he's crazy, all that BS, whatnot. But, we understand. We've been through it, lived it through. We lived through Obama and the broken promises, and he's just the same old president as all the other presidents. We knew Joe Biden, what he would be. We tackle the system. I think that's being lost in the COVID narrative and the discussions right now as we recircle. And, I'm going to be writing an article, The 10 Deadly Sins of COVID. But it's the whole system. Fauci was just the front man for it. This isn't like one guy pulling the strings. Kind of like how I feel about Israel, the way everybody feels like Israel. They play that Netanyahu video of him going, it's easy to control America. But there's this whole industry and all these other people behind it that are moving, using the vessel of the state to further their wars. Raytheon, BlackRock, Vanguard, all the players involved, Smedley, Butler. So it's not just Israel. It's not just Fauci. It's the system. That is my opinion. We had talked about it. And then we also talked about pre-COVID. But let's start off with your opinions. We're here with Nico House, ladies and gentlemen. This is Drive Time. If you want to call in, you can talk about anything else too, because we can bullshit about anything. But we are talking a little bit COVID right now since we're in the wake of the Fauci hearing. What was your opinion overall when you saw Dr. Fauci? I plead the fifth with a pardon that protects him anyways.
So it was a few things that came to my mind. I feel like when he was saying, I plead the fifth, basically means that I'm not going to talk, basically, because he doesn't want to incriminate himself. But I was actually thinking about the people that may not have been pardoned, and the careers that might still be on the line that he was trying to protect. Because as Pasta just discussed, he's a part of a criminal enterprise. Fauci isn't the Fauci conglomerate; it's the conglomerate. Period. He, along with whoever was working alongside the NIH and giving money to these labs in Wuhan, China, and wherever else that this might be happening that we aren't even aware of yet. There is a network of people who signed off on it, who approved the funding, who introduced the funding, right? Those people might still be serving office. Those people might still be in their current public position. those people might still be in China. Like we really don't really discuss enough. I always say, like, as much as we can commend China on their economic leaps that they've made over the last couple of decades, the reality is for the Wuhan lab to have been in mainland China, the CCP would have had to approve the funding and the construction of that lab, and there would have had to been a process, a pretty significant one. And so, if there was a quote unquote leak, which I don't even know if that would be accurate, but whatever happened, if there was a leak, China would still be implicated in that because they allowed the lab to be put out there. And we know that once upon a time, China had an issue with high deregulation until recently where they got it together. But so that's what I was kind of like, well, who else is he protecting? Like, how deep does this go? And how many people are still in the crossfire that we may not be aware of? And also, I would love some apologies. I saw that Stephen A. Smith finally apologized to Kyrie Irving, but I'm like, okay,
yes,
yeah. What you did, they're like, oh, we got to apologize to him. We don't got to do shit. We support him. Because his logic was very simple. It's my choice, my decision. It's your choice. It's your decision, and no one else should be able to force that on you. Period. And his was, how dare you not blindly listen to the same people who told you marijuana was going to give you cancer and kill you and end your life, like, and destroy your families, et cetera, and then turn around and give you pharmaceuticals that literally give you cancer and eventually do kill you. Like, that was what Stephen A's argument was. So there are some apologies that are that have to be acknowledged across the board, not just from Stephen A, but also the apologies need to be framed correctly, because it isn't a mere, oh, we had a difference of opinion, my bad. It was no, I don't trust this system, and it is my decision on what I put in my body. And their opinions were, yeah, we know that we can't trust the system, and I've been criticizing everything Trump and this administration has done up until this point, right? But now I trust them. And then it was also the trust the professionals, unless they're the professionals that disagree with you.
By the way, I'd like to say something.
How many times we heard that, Pasta? Trust the experts. Well, this expert actually is saying this.
Whoa! Oh,
that
I was
guy's
told.
Okay, well, I'm like, you can call him whatever you want to, but is he not an expert? He has a PhD and an MD in this field. He does research for this. He's administered treatments for this. How is this person, by definition, not an expert?
Yeah,
because he disagrees with me. He disagrees with the experts I disagree with. So,
and a lot of the things too. The flip side of that is the experts that they were fronting were just people who were beholden to the system, right? That were just big pharma hacks. I keep forgetting that fat professor who kept on talking about how good the vaccines were, and he was on Joe Rogan's show, and the guy didn't do any exercise or diet, but you still want to listen to that guy, and that guy keeps
disappeared.
I mean,
right?
Dr. Leanna Wynn was one of those too, about, then her child got all messed up with a mask and she was pushing masks. Everybody they put out there were just nothing more than big pharma hacks. And if you did take the time, like me and James Roguski, the Goose, to pay attention, I started that too. Never forget because Nico, you're here. We can talk about them all the time. This is how we know that censorship has not gone away. Jared and Elizabeth Beck never got back their Twitter. So don't think for 1 second that, when they came in, and this is something that's not talked about and it's gotten worse. Right now, there have been some shows that have been dying quietly in the night, and I hope that people can hold on for a little bit more until we can get a little bit more news out there and break forth, because things got to give, right? The truth can only be held down for so long, and the truth tellers, or people who have a different perspective, than what just the mainstream media tells them, because that's what independent media has become, the mainstream media alternative. They're just spinning off what they're saying over there. I mean, for crying out loud, the shows that they're featuring right now on Rumble, it's just become a Christian right. You know what I'm saying? Jesus knows better in the morning, whatever the case may be. All this crap they're pushing. It's like we're going
after
backwards
Biden,
and stuff.
Bro, after Biden was out, like, it was over for them. I think a lot of us knew it was coming too. I was like, what are they going to talk about after they can't keep blaming all their problems on Biden and Trump actually exposes himself? Exactly. And they actually have nothing to talk about.
Because they still think that they are choosing the lesser of two evils because of the woke bullshit. I think we have a caller, and we're going to get to that. Guys, we're here at Drive Time in the Morning. You're here with Nico House, Craig Pasta Jardula, Sleepy J. You can see Gabrielle Freedom, the show's producer, holding it down over there. Of course, we got our loved ones. Friendly Brilliant got up nice and early. What time is it? The crack of 5 a.m. over there. Thank you. And, of course, Fred Edwards and all the loved ones, guys. Thank you so much. Caller, who are you, and where are you calling from?
Yes, this is Jay Johnson calling from Connecticut. How you doing, brother?
This guy got up early. Go, Nico House is on Tuesday. I'm getting hit to the front of the line. You get your ice cream first, sir, Mr. Jay Johnson. What you got for us?
Well, I agree with everyone's points this morning, especially the illustrious Mr. House. Congratulations on the hustle contest down there, Pasta. I'm kind of stuck, man. I see where you guys are getting at with Fauci and the system. Where I'm kind of stuck is where we're responsive. And now, bear in mind, I expect as a host of a show, you're going to cover things from a topical matter of what has happened and keep that conversation going. However, systemically, the society can only really respond. And I feel as though there's a tremendous opportunity for leadership at a time when we really don't have a counter system in place. And I feel as though, the loss, as you brought it up, is of the Becks having a channel. And I actually wanted to reach out to them. I couldn't think of their name the other day, to see if there are some opportunities to kind of bring society back into the hands of the people. I've been speaking to a few people on a few matters, and I really, I'd love it if you could take a little pause and reach out, so I could share what's on my mind, Pasta, because, it's great to be able to speak about the topics of the day in the past week and the past month, but it will also be able to be great for us to be able to discuss some of the W's that society starts putting on the board, because there are activities in place to respond to some of the things that the system does to keep society oppressed.
Yeah. I'm gonna get around, and fair enough too as well. Jay, I love the way you're the way you look at life and the way you see things. Definitely, every single time I talk to you, I feel like I'm using my abstract part of my brain that I don't necessarily use. You know what I'm saying? Because you present things that are not necessarily the norm. So I will, but I still got boxes that I haven't even unpacked. So please just give me a little time. I moved into this new house. I moved 2 apartments into one house. So I'll get to you, I promise. But we can always bring some discussions to the floor too as well over here. So
and Pasta's our senior ADHD guy.
I get it, brother.
Yeah.
Getting back to people is like that's a whole for all of us. Like, I mean, me and Pasta are close, and we like, oh shit, I forgot I was supposed to call him 4 weeks ago.
Yeah. And by the way too as well, Jay, and it's not that I want to interrupt you, but somebody put in the chat too as well, because you're talking about W's and COVID and stuff like that. There was also there was a lot of crimes against humanity. I think about my uncle that I lost, that got wheeled away, and nobody can go see him because of the protocols. Somebody mentioned Nico's grandfather in the chat, and I remember because Nico.
My grandmother.
To a dark place. He was away for a little bit, and we were all just making sure we check up on him because we know how much that hurt him. This was a crime against humanity, and I think we have to also kind of determine where we hold people accountable, because you still got these people out here. The WBAI show I do on Wednesdays, this show on Wednesdays, Jay Johnson, you wouldn't believe the shit I got caught with, because it's a predominantly Democratic. It's Amy Goodman is the flagship show. Democracy Now is the show in the morning over there, right? People calling me, oh my God, I can't believe you guys are doing this, picking on Fauci. I can't believe we're having this discussions on WBAI. We were doing what we could do. And in their mind, they still think that people died from not taking the shot. So what happens when this rolls around again and the state throws a mandate on there? They got a bunch of little minions pushing this shit. How do we let that go? How do we square that circle? And how do we make sure that that doesn't happen again? Because these people are still not waking up to the fact that this is a bioweapon, to the fact that if you ain't anti-COVID protocols, then you ain't a real anti-imperialist. I'm sorry.
Let me interrupt. So what both of you guys are saying and advocating for are absolutely true. The truth is, like Pasta and myself, being in the media, we have a role. Our role is to not let the conversation go. While activists like yourself organize and lead based off of that information, based off of us educating people, and make sure that this doesn't happen again. You know what I'm saying? Make sure that we do have countermeasures involved. Make sure that we do have leadership, not just like in a superficial way, but in a genuine, integral way where we're going to city council meetings, we're lobbying in whatever way we need to lobby, whether it be at the municipal level or the federal level. Like that, I think both of those are necessary to make sure that we don't have this again. Because as Pasta just said, like that's not small potatoes. Like if we're talking about a show, you know, a station with Amy Goodman and Democracy Eventually as the flagship show, like, and they're still defending Fauci, who got a pardon for something he allegedly didn't do, and who are caping for the pharmaceutical companies that they were literally during the Bernie campaign saying we can't vote for anyone taking pharmaceutical industry money. Like these things don't make sense, and we have to spend. Yeah, that like I know people think that this stuff is easy, but it's not easy to keep up with all this. And somebody. The reality is somebody has to do it and distill it and simplify it and give it to the people so that they then know it's time to go run to those organizations like the ones that you want to start and go do something about it. So I feel like both of you guys are absolutely correct. We in the media have a role to not let these things be forgotten. And then you guys in the activism community and the organization that you guys start, your job is to ensure that this doesn't happen again. And then we boost you guys. I feel like that's how it's supposed to go.
And I couldn't agree more. And that's precisely my point, Nico. And I mean, as people are informed more and more, they don't know where to go, and to not have a system in place like a net to catch them, I feel is remiss. And so when I talk about reaching out, it's just so that the mind and the body are coordinating with one another. And so that's why I feel as though it's like, hey, 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. It's just so that the mind and the body can coordinate, break, everyone go to their separate corners, get to work, and then circle back later. That's really the only point I'm talking about. And that's not to rub you. I know you got moving and stuff, and life is happening in real time, but there are some fires burning for you guys, and I'd love for you to reach out as well, Nico, if you could chill a few moments in, and maybe you have some thoughts as well on some things that I'd like to throw at you.
Sure, man. Sure. Hit me up on X, and in between dealing with these 3 kids, I got you.
Or actually, if Pasta could shoot my contact info, because I don't trust Elon either.
Oh, that's fair. That's a very fair point. I'm trying to get y'all money, by the way. Like, hey, man, put your money here on X. You gonna lose your goddamn mind, Elon. Woo, right. That was funny.
No thanks.
I said, whoo. Oh, man, I couldn't believe it.
May the force be with you all, and we'll chat soon.
You got it, Jay. Later, Bubba.
Appreciate you, man.
Later.
A lot of things too. The things I'm kind of worried about too, as well, is that yesterday we had Snorky call into the show. We talked a lot about education yesterday, right? I got my nephew getting ready next week to start his kindergarten. He's ready, but he's like gifted in every way. Like, so my sister's got to go to. We're in one school district now where they have it's a good school. It's a high-rated school. It's got a gifted program, but the other gifted program might cater to his needs better, right? But I started thinking about school. I got my friend who's got one child starting middle school, one child starting high school, right? And my other friend, another child starting high school, but he's going to a different high school because they can cater to his computer software writing code needs. So I'm just thinking about it. We started talking about it because I was also thinking about one of the callers of the show, Dave. And I was thinking about Snorky too, and Dave from Melbourne. And he might be getting up a little bit late. But Dave feels really bad, and he's coming out. What's up, Exile? It's about time. We haven't seen you in a little bit. Dave feels a little bit guilty. He talks about the money he made in the industry, and now he's using this as an opportunity to speak the truth about what's going on there, especially about the sun dimming programs that have been taking place for God knows how long. Because I think it kills 2 birds with 1 stone, right? These Satanist, crazy, ball-worshipping motherfuckers want to keep us sick all the time. but they also want to be able to control the weather so they can control the planet. Because those who control the weather, military-wise, control the planet. Ahmadinejad, the president of Iran years ago, accused the Israelis of using Western technology, meaning the United States, to control the weather, to cause droughts. And ever since they've been bombing up some of these bases, now people have been talking about, wow, there's rain in places there weren't rain for a while. Maybe their magnets aren't in the air and doing that stuff. But talking about education is because everything we were taught, everything we were programmed, it's like we're programmed and taught that you're judged by your personal wealth, not what you do for society, right? And that's something that's kind of engraved in our brain, and we're programmed. It's a capitalist society. Go to school, so you can get a good education, so you can get a good job, so you can make a lot of money, have a lot of toys, right? You're not like, hey, what can you do for society to help out your neighbor? No, no one gives a fuck. Go do that in church. This is what we're going to teach you. So I really got to thinking a lot about education, and now you have children and everything like that. That shit's coming up, and I obviously I don't even begin to think what's going on over there. But the United States is really fucked up with their education, and I'm scared, Nico, for some of these kids moving forward. I'm like, why even put them in the system?
So the reason why I would put my kids in the system is so they can understand what they're fighting against. So I'm like a big proponent of education. It doesn't take place only at school. It takes place in the home as well. And so, we have a conversation with my son since he was 6. Well, maybe even 5, actually. What did you do in school today? What did you learn? Not just like, what did you learn materially, but like what took place. There was a situation, for example, where, so my son, for the longest time, because he's in a private school, he was the only Black Brazilian in his school. In his class, excuse me. And so a boy called this girl a monkey because she's like a little bit darker, but he was being a dick, basically. And it was something that, knowing his parents, he got it from his parents. And so my son actually intervened, and because he knew that it wasn't right. He couldn't really articulate it because he was like 6 at the time, but he intervened, and because he intervened, the teacher got involved, because my son doesn't intervene with anything like that unless it's like he's trying to protect somebody. That's just the kind of the personality he's built up for everybody around him. And so the teacher gets involved, the whole situation gets squared away. The boy ends up apologizing. He's a really good kid now, but that situation was kind of forced everybody to address with the elephant in the room. And because of the conversations that we have in the house, the education that we take part in the house, my son knows, like, your role in society isn't just to be a cog in this machine, whether it be in your school, job, whatever. Your goal is to affect change and to teach other people how to do right. And so education is important, and it's not really necessarily what they're going to learn in that particular system, especially when it comes to the U.S. Like the U.S., almost every bit of history they give you is a lie. But it's important to know the lies that are told so you can combat them with the truth. And that's basically how we go about education in our house, because you're right, having 3 kids, and now I have my nephew living with me as well. And it's been interesting just seeing that contrast, because right now he's in a public school. And so I can put it, because he came in the middle of the year. So I have to get him caught up from him not being in a structured educational system for a long time because of him being moved around so much. So before I could put him in private school. So that conversation is something that we have every single day in our house, just about education and what it really means, and the value of it if you get it right, and how much it can hurt you no matter how much money you make if you get it wrong.
By the way, and Sleepy, if you got anything to say, because I know you had a child that had to go to school too at one point, and the thoughts there.
They just don't teach him shit, man. Like, she struggled just to like graduate, and she's not a dumb kid, and it's just they don't engage them. They don't teach in a way that they actually learn anything. They just teach you to take a test the next day, and then you forget it all.
The standard.
Same thing with college here.
They don't teach kids to think for themselves. And
the standard is not. Yeah. It's just not. Sleep is right, bro. Like it is literally. We have an issue with my son's school right now because of that. Because it's like he has to study so much to take tests. He's 8 years old. He's been doing it since he was 6. I'm like, why are you having midterms before winter break, well, it's summer, well, winter break here in Brazil, we just got done with it. But like, why is a 7, 8-year-old having a study at all hours of the night for midterms? Is this going to actually improve him in some way, or is it just proving that your school is worth the money? Because like, I'll know if your school is worth the money based off of my son's actions and how he carries himself every day when he gets back home. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need a test to prove if my son speaks Portuguese well, if he's understanding math, if he's able to, understanding science and things like that. Like, you'll hear it in the day-to-day conversations. But it's pass a test to prove that you're worth the money that the federal government wants to give you, because the federal government has made it mandated now that you go to these schools and you got to get a degree, and that's the only way that you're of any value in the system, that you can prove that you're quote unquote smart. But some of the dumbest I'm not exaggerating, y'all. I went to a public Ivy League myself. I know a bunch of people who went to Ivy Leagues, and some of the dumbest people I know are Ivy League graduates.
Yeah. No, I mean, yesterday Snorky talked about like how they teach in Finland versus the United States, and it's plain and simple to me. Finland is trying to raise leaders and people think for themselves. The United States is trying to produce followers and people who don't think for themselves and just have enough knowledge to push the buttons and the brooms, get some rest, go back and do it all again and be part of the.
And they punish you.
Wheel. Yeah.
The U.S. public school system punishes you for being unwilling to be taught to be a cog in the machine. If you deviate from that and show that you actually do want to be a standout leader, you're punished for it. I'm a personal victim of that. I have teachers who have the audacity. I was held back in the 7th grade because of things that were going on in my life that I just wasn't in control of, and I didn't know how to deal with it. And so the only way I could call attention was to fight and literally fail the test, because basically what happened was everybody would just, well, Nico's still getting A's. Nico's still in his academically gifted program. Nico's still passing tests with almost perfect scores, or standardized tests with perfect scores. So we don't need to pay attention. And I'm like, okay, so clearly I need to do something else. And I got punished instead of people asking me, yo, what's going on? Why are you acting out like this? And then as I got older and I just, got back to getting good grades and things like that, when I would talk about some of the things that I wanted to do in my life, how I didn't want to be a politician, I wanted to use the information I got to actually do activism and organize and help people understand. I would get attacked by my teachers for saying, you got to choose a side.
Yeah.
Like,
by the way, hold on. I'm so sorry, Nico. Did we have a caller?
We got a call.
Go ahead.
Back.
I'm so sorry, caller. And by the way, a dingo ate me baby said Pasta encouraged the trades, electrician, plumbers. I do. That's the way to go nowadays. They walk in the door and you already got to pay them $300. Become a plumber. Caller, who are you? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Pasta, it's Joanna.
I was going to call you yesterday and say, where were you? We miss you over here. Please come home. Thank you for calling, Joanna. I know you got a lot to say on this situation. This is education. Joanna got kids. So, Joanna, lay it on us.
Yes, I do have 2 children. I grew up in the public school system myself, and I have also, with my children, moved a lot. And I also, my mother's side of the family, full of teachers. So I come from a background of, I used to not go to regular school and skip school and then go to a different school and hang out with my aunts or my grandmother or whatever for the day if something was going on and I couldn't get picked up from school or not. So I was in the schools a lot. And one thing that I've learned is that not all schools are created the same. And all your comments are very valid, but not universal. And like my kids, as I moved, when I had my son, I moved so many times in the beginning because, frankly, I can't afford rent. And he just went to the closest school that was wherever we were. And each school had their own thing going on, where, one school was better or worse than the other when it came to teachers, when it came to how they care or what's available to them. I'm fortunate enough that at this time, now that I've bought my house and it's in a good area, the schools are beyond excellent, beyond excellent. And they're public schools, but they're teaching things that I've never seen any other school teach. And so a blanket statement that public schools are bad is not true, but I do think it's very targeted. They don't want to teach everybody all these things, because then how is it that there's going to be winners and losers, right? How are you going to have people who are going to excel and then have people who are stuck working at McDonald's their whole life, in frying fries or whatever? I do think it's very targeted, and I think that's mostly where the problem lies. And then another thing to this is that, especially in the impoverished areas, the teachers aren't getting paid. And a lot of times they are coming out of their own pocket to make it work.
Yes.
And eventually it wears on them. And, I do think that there's not a soul on this planet I can think that would say, I'm going into teaching for the money. Like, it's
that's your
not-
career.
No, that's not a thing.
Yeah.
But when you take all of that into account, we end up with this failing public system. And then on top of that, the pressures that the government put on teachers to need to step back, where they see their kids are struggling and they can't come to their aid for fear of losing their own job, depending on where you are in the country. So I think it's a bigger conversation of, making it uniform is not the answer. Every area needs their own thing, but it needs to be upgraded. There's a lot of more things that like my kids' school today, they have a whole, we had computer class in the past, right? When I was growing up, I did have like a little typing class, but they're like coding. I've never seen no other school teach coding. They're teaching coding in my son's school.
They're ahead of the game.
like-
Let me
I like to hear that.
Let me
But it's
piggyback
really
off
cool.
this a little bit. I definitely agree with her. My kid bounced back between Missouri and California, and the difference in schools was night and day. Like Missouri, she had to take mandatory music, mandatory art, all that stuff. None of that in California. So
Really?
she's right. Yeah, 100%. The pass rate at her school when she was still in California when she was little, 35%. This was a K through 6.
California's a state for the
35%.
privileged. For the privileged.
And
If you
Missouri,
ain't got money,
it was like,
Yeah.
Missouri, it was like night and day. So so it definitely varies from state to state.
I want to piggyback off that because I want to talk about district to district situation. I have a family member who would have went to the same high school that I graduated from, and all of his family graduated from, literally up until him, because of a financial situation that forced his grandmother to move. All of us, thank God, ended up being successful. All of us have our head on straight. And he's a good kid, and he's actually extremely intelligent, which is why we all wanted him to go to the same school, have the same teachers, et cetera, et cetera. He ends up having to move a district away. Also a new school, but the entire district is made up of a demographic that wasn't the same. Like just the teachers, the people, the parents. He's in jail now. And he's the only one who went to a different school, which is like, me and my god sister are blown away every time we have that conversation, because we're like, how the hell did we fail him? And the reality is like we can only do so much because we're not with him 8 hours. It's the U.S. So you're in school, 7, 8 hours? We weren't with him all that time. And the difference was when we weren't at physical school, we were with people who held for more or less held the same beliefs, had parents who were involved. Where my mom couldn't be involved in my life because she was working a lot, I had parents who would pick me and my brother up, grab us by the ear if we needed it, take us to their house. We would spend time with their families, learn their values and things like that. My godson didn't have that. And so that was the result. So you're absolutely right. So I guess it goes back to what Apostle was saying earlier. We have a system issue at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Whereas some people in some states, like I was lucky enough to live in Florida, I was not forced to get the vaccine. If I needed it, I had access to ivermectin. Right?
Yeah.
That wasn't the case. You live in California or New York, some other states. So like we have a system issue where people, I wish that everyone could receive a public education like the one you're describing, because that sounds damn near better than the private education that I've seen in the States, to be completely honest. Private education in the States is like you're getting all the attention and the resources you need. That what you're talking about is above and beyond from what I'm hearing.
It's for real. My son's middle school had a whole agricultural class where they taught them how to take care of animals, and they had chickens and
there is a name for that type of teaching, and I have forgot what it's called. Are you familiar with it's named after a woman, a doctor. I cannot remember what it's called, but there's a name for it. It's like it's heavily involved. Like everything you learn is like done through experiential process, and it's very specific. I can't remember what the name of it is, but you actually have to get a degree to teach that type of education system.
In the restaurant business, it's called kinesthetic, I think. Like, is that the word they use?
No, it's literally
visual.
It's that type
auditory
of learning, but the name of the system is actually an educational type
monastery
of system.
School system.
I think that is it.
Janine talks about it all the time. My sister talks about it all the time. Yeah.
That's it. There are a lot of schools that are taken from that.
Fred's got it.
And you got a Montessori.
there
you go.
Montessori. By the way,
there's the schools that my kids go to, they also have something that I hadn't seen in any other school, but they have, at least the schools that I had my kids go to, but constant communication where I could message the teacher directly. The teacher can message me. We have, the online app. Like that's
amazing.
So involved.
Yeah.
Man, look, if I could get a guarantee that my kids would get that type of education, I would move back to the States, or I would have never left. I would have moved them there earlier. But like, based off of
but it's not
like a 1 in 100 chance that would happen. So I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna even.
Okay. So let me just say a few things.
And the thing is that it's not everywhere. And I even mean, like, I'm in Orlando. That's not every Orlando school. It's not every Orlando school. It's this school that does it. And I'm sure there's other schools that do it too, but it's definitely not every Orlando school.
I wonder if No Child Left Behind has something to do with this and the
it does.
Funding.
It absolutely does, bro. That's been my whole high school talking about this, because you get rewarded for being a good school that passed standardized tests. But if you need the funding and that's what's causing you to not be able to get the resources you need and causing your students not to pass standardized tests, they would take your money away. It made no sense whatsoever. So everybody started forming in these schools based strictly on getting the minimum score possible for passing these standardized tests. And it just failed so many students. We had a school in Fayetteville, North Carolina, that almost closed because of it.
Yeah. By the way, I just wanted to make a comment real quick, because I'm probably one of the only person here without a child, and I'm sitting back and just listening. But I just want to say, Joanna, I love it when you call the show, because it's very easy for us to stay stuck in our echo chambers sometimes, right? We hang out with the people we hang out with, and just like I believe, not as much as in the school system, where you're going to have great teachers, whether the system be crap or not. You're going to have good teachers that are going to know how to teach and give those kids. And you mentioned how they come out of their own pocket. That happens in the police force somewhat, not as much. Most of the people who join the police force a little bit tainted and messed in their mind and want to wear a badge because they lack some form of authority at home. So they put that on, and that just gives them that kind of badge courage. But there are also some people out there that, like, I'm just going to join the police force because I want to do good policing my community. Not as much as the teacher part, not as much as the nursing part, right? And I don't have statistics to back it up. That's just my personal opinion. But getting back to the whole thing, I'm glad when you call in the show, because we don't get stuck in an echo chamber. But I do want to share some comments that our producer, Gabrielle Freedom, shared, because, she's mentioning stuff. Most comments are not universal. Yes, schools vary, but public schools are required to cover certain things that are absolutely scripted and toxic. And they are required to push test grades over student quality of life and, and actual meaningful education. This is true. So even though we have some good systems, we have some good classes, some good teachers, What are your thoughts, Joanna, with the fact that still at the end of the day, the state is mandating certain things happen that might not be beneficial to your kid's education?
So again, I really feel like it comes down to the whole, right? I agree that, the things that they're pushing, it's not life related. You have to learn, just as an example, you have to learn specific dates of history of things that happened and pass a test, right? And that's still a thing for sure. But once you've gotten over that, it's everything else that they're also teaching that isn't mandated, right? And I do think that the mandates need to be more life related. Is it important that we learn history? Yes. Do we need to know the exact date it happened? Not necessarily, but should you know how to manage your money? Yeah. Should you know taxes? Yeah. Are they teaching taxes and how to do taxes? Not in most schools. In the high school, they have it. The high school my son is going to go to, they have that. Where they're teaching all of these things that are important in life. And, and yeah, they got their funding because they were passing these standardized tests, and now they're able to teach even more. His middle school, from when he was in 6th grade, we learned that he started in that school 6th grade, 6th, 7th, 8th grade. And the school was a B when he started and moved up to an A. When he left the school, where now all three of 6th, 7th, and 8th grades are all A students. And there were so many that graduated with, they don't call it graduate, but they had honors, where they were so many children. They had to have 2 separate, moving on ceremonies. They can't call it a graduation. Stupid. But they had to have 2 separate ones because there were so many that graduated with honors.
That's amazing.
And they had to stop and honor each one that did, which is amazing. It starts with that mandated test to give them the funding. And then in that mandated test, I don't think it's inducive of life, but then they're able to teach all these other things and implement all of these other things that is.
It's not like they have really good leadership in place.
That mandated is stupid because of what the content is, not necessarily that it's bad. I just think that it should be mandated learning about life, learning how to survive in America and what you need to survive.
They should teach you how to balance a checkbook, right? That ain't taught. They should teach you how money is created, where it comes from. That ain't
or how to cook.
How to cook. Home economics is gone. Home economics. Not everybody had an Italian father like me to go in the kitchen and smack him around and said, "Clean that squid" at 13 years old. That taught me a lot in life over there when I had to go clean the squid.
So my mom made him take home ec because he didn't want to take the advanced classes that I was taking. So my mom was like, okay, well, you're going to actually just learn shit with life skills. And my school at the time had the funding to still do home ec. And my brother is actually one of the best cooks I know to this day. And he loved,
other than me.
One of. Calm down, Pasta.
Other than me, right?
Oh my God! I didn't say he was actually, my wife is the best cook I know, if I'm being completely honest. But you're up there too, man. But you know what I'm saying? But my brother, for all this, he is a damn genius in the kitchen, and I am okay. I can get by and survive. And I always wanted to know what the biggest difference was between us in that regard, because it wasn't anything that happened in the house. And I forgot that he took home ec. Yeah. And that was the difference.
Yeah. Well, let me just say this real quickly.
Other thing, just to add on to that. So on the other side of that fence, because of the requirements for my diploma and what I wanted to do in college, I had to take certain computer classes that he did. And I can type 100, 125 words per minute or some crazy shit like that. I've always been any class I'm in, or course I'm in, I'm always the fastest typer. That's actually... I graduated with honors I was a paralegal for that. And the difference was my brother can't do it. He can type, but very, very basic. The reason why is because of the class I had to take. So it's really life skills in general they kind of need to be taught at a foundational level. And when these schools don't put any emphasis on that and they only focus on standardized testing, it's really doing a disservice not only to the students but the country who these students have to live in and then help build and bring forward.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I was going to say
but then everybody would prosper, and then how are we going to have winners and losers?
Well, how are they going to replace your job with AI and convince you that computers can do the job because society ain't doing it? And that's like almost in elections. They broke the system so they can sell you the mail-in system. Why you want to wait 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours to vote? We'll just mail you a ballot. That's how they broke the system. Instead of saying, why does it take that long to vote? They said, okay, sure, give me the ballot. So that's what's going on over here. And by the way, as we're talking about home economics, I just like to send a shout out to my other business partner and co-host Fiorella. She makes the best toast. Joanna, thank you so much for calling in. I love when you call in.
I just want to make one more point, if I can.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. So my grandmother was a teacher for special kids, right? Like the exceptionally special kids. And in Jersey, there was a school there, no longer there, unfortunately. They made it into a regular school, but it was all special kids in that school. It was specialized just for them. And they didn't really have too many requirements because those type of kids, they don't have the mental capacity to pass tests like that. So they didn't have any requirements. But my grandmother would teach them life skills. And she had her classroom was right next to where the auditorium was. And the auditorium was mostly empty. And the way they had it was like chairs that would be set up whenever they would do, some event or whatever. So it was mostly just like a big area of nothing with the chairs up to the side. And she went and bought beds and sheets and would teach the kids how to make their bed and teach them how to fold clothes and teach them just basic life skills, things that were like, it's not required, but she's like, what am I doing with these kids all day? I got to do something with them. I got to teach them something. So she would teach them how to eat, how to do different things and I love that for my grandmother. Like that really inspired me to just look at life differently. Like and that type of program doesn't exist, at least not that I know of. And they dismantled that school at this point, which is completely sad. So there's a whole nother side of this rather than just, us that we are able to comprehend. There's this whole other population of kids that need support and we don't give it to them at all. So that's all I wanted to mention.
I mean, that's like, it's like mic drop time right there. I mean, I don't have an answer for that too as well. I get it. I mean, and like I said, I love it when you call in, Joanna. We're going to let you go because just in case there's somebody in the queue holding on, we don't want them holding on forever. But thank you so much. You make the show amazing. Like I said, you get us out of our comfort zone, out of our echo chambers, and you bring the real life discussions to the floor. Let me leave you with this too, though, Joanna, because one of the things that Nico said I think is important as we're talking about these specialized schools and people who are gifted, whatnot, and could do things, right? And even Dingo Ate Me Baby mentioned like, hey, we need to teach kids the trades nowadays. That we're lacking there. And I even said when a plumber walks in the door, it's $300 just for him walking in the door because there's a lack of plumbers out there. There's a lack of electricians. There's a lack of those things, and those things are very important. And yes, and I'm all about that too. A Dingo Ate Me Baby.
Hey, I can't fix my pipes.
Yeah. But my mom used to ask me, well, what are you going to do when your garbage disposal gets backed up or the outlets in your rooms not work if you can't fix yourself? I'm going to do what I always do. Call my electrician friend, tell him I'm cooking a beautiful steak and I got a bottle of wine, get over here. He comes over, I feed him a steak and a bottle of wine, and then he fixes my plumbing or my electricity. That's what I got to do because I got my cooking skills, and I've always done that. I still do that to this day. Come over, hang up my TV. I'm making some bolognese. I'll be over at 6.
There you go.
But Joanna, the thing I want to talk about, I want to leave you with, and Nico kind of mentioned this too. And I was thinking, I don't have kids, but if I had kids, would I put them into the system, even though I don't believe in the system? Kind of what Gabriel was talking about, that they're still required to do these things for the state. part of the whole learning process for children, I believe, is to be comfortable within society and to know who their community is. If I don't send my kid to that public school or that private school that's local, how will he be able to interact? If I shield him from that, how will they be able to interact with people around them? And that's a big concern of mine, and is why I would be leaning to sending my kid to probably a public school, right? And if he's smarter, he's gifted, make sure he has all the programs around him to do that. But once again, also the teaching at school is important. And I'll give you the last 30 seconds, Joanna, because isn't it important our children interact with other children in the community?
Oh, that is so important. Like my brother, he went to public school until 3rd grade, and then my mother pulled him out, and he was in homeschool. And being able to interact with people is not his thing. And it's important because now he's struggling to find a job and get along with people and all these other things. And it's certainly not true for everyone, especially if you're homeschooling, but then you're still getting your kid out to do other things. But I feel like I get the feeling, I don't have, again, no statistics, I don't know for sure, but I get the feeling that there's a lot of people who are homeschooling and leaving out the public interaction. And yes. I almost feel like that's even more important than anything you learn in school.
Yeah, that's how you build up emotional intelligence, social intelligence. I know we joke about, oh, that man can really work a room. Yeah, it's kind of a necessary life skill for survival. Like me being able to, I always call myself a extroverted introvert or introverted extrovert, whatever you want to call it. But I learned a very valuable skill from a combination of being my mom's son and being in public school and doing debate, where I know how to bend a room to my will. And, that's a skill that can't be taught in a classroom. It can't be taught in a house. That's a skill that you learn along the way via experience. And if you don't include that public or that social aspect of education in your homeschool, it's not going to go well. I've met a lot of homeschool kids, and they're as smart as all get out, and they cannot interact in a work environment, in an office environment, in a friendly work environment. They don't know how, they can't read basic social cues.
Yeah. Some of the smartest people can't do the simplest things. I know this because I live with Fiorella. She doesn't make coffee. It's terrible. It goes all over the place. Joanna,
no beating up on
and with
feet.
that, I'm going to go get me some coffee because you're totally right. I did not have coffee this morning.
Joanna, I know that we are new friends, but I hope that you will let me call you fam, because that's our nickname for short for our family, because I believe family are the friends we choose. And it's been an amazing friendship having you as a friend. Even though it's a new friendship, I love it. Do you mind if I call you fam when you call in?
Of course. My dad calls you family, so well, I mean by proxy.
Yes, he does. He is fam, and you are fam. Go get yourself some coffee, fam. We'll speak to you another time.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
All right. Joanna's awesome. She's awesome. Just an amazing human being. When you're around her, just good vibes, smiling, happy, just great energy. I love Joanna. Thank you so much for making this show special. And all you people in the chat, you've made this show very special. I've been looking at your chats. I've been trying to pay attention a little bit too as well. It didn't let me be. It said the author of School World Order. He's a friend of mine. His name is Johnny Klychek. I speak to him all the time. I'll call him up. I'll get him on the show for sure. We just spoke a couple weeks ago. Me and Johnny Klychek became good friends when we both did the Cause Festival in Tennessee. And I was like the token socialist left winger there. It was kind of cute. That's where I met Alex Strenger. That's where I also met Eric Hollerback. I mean, these are close friends of mine to this day. I speak to all three of those people. But yes, we'll have them on the show because it is interesting with the technocratic age coming, Nico. It's implemented in the schools. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, that's that. It says, Pasta, my son used to help clean squid. He did for years until he realized he was having an allergic reaction on the palms of his hands. Derp.
All right, we got another call coming in.
Caller, who are you? Where are you calling from?
He was having an allergic reaction on the palms of his
Hello?
hands. Derp. All right, we got another call coming in. Caller, who are you? Where you
Oh, you got to mute your stream, man. Or lady.
Hello?
Yeah,
Yes,
you got to listen. You got to listen on your phone, not the stream. It's delayed.
Oh, I see. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
we can hear you.
Hey, y'all. Peace pasta.
Who is this? Where you calling from?
It's Clau. I'm calling from Joyzy.
What's going on, Cloud?
Not much. I am, in Kearney, New Jersey. I don't know if y'all heard, there was yet another murder at Delaney Hall yesterday, or this weekend rather. So I'll be reporting from there later today, but, just wanted to say peace and, love the work y'all are doing. Leave my sister alone. Fiorella will do whatever she wants.
She deserves some. She
that is
deserves
damn
some
true.
punishment there, Claudia, make sure you put all your stuff in the chat so people can follow this. I'm not just saying this because once again we live in the same arena and we do the same work. I've hung with this young lady here in Nicaragua. She's a real warrior.
Yeah.
The work she's doing on Bolivia is out of sight. But right now, Delaney Hall, this is important because this shit is still fucking going on. I'm sorry for cursing. I get so emotional when we talk about this stuff. Why don't people realize they should have saw this in COVID? Mandated jabs. Your civil liberties, you don't have them. Oh, we're taking away immigrants' civil liberties. They didn't earn their civil liberties, right? They don't have a right to due process. Bullshit. They'll do it to you too. I'm sorry for interrupting. I get fired up. Please go on. Tell us what happened in New Jersey.
Yeah, no, I mean, you should be fired up. Everyone should be fired up, right? We just had the World Cup. The final was, the final was 10 minutes away from a literal concentration camp in Delaney Hall, like 10 minutes away on the I don't know if y'all know Jerseys, but the Meadowlands, it's like swampy area. That particular road where Delaney Hall is right next to Essex County Jail. So not just, folks from the global South are locked up in there, but, Africans are locked up in Essex County Jail. That road also has like 3 or 4 different factories. They call it's Doremus Ave. They call that Cancer Alley because the rates of intoxication are horrific, right? So it's a colonization process, right? We know this, and so I just want to put that out there, folks. Please, listen to what or read and listen to what is happening at Delaney Hall, not just at Delaney Hall, at all of these detention centers that people are being tortured at, people are being sent into the SHU, I forget what it's called, the solitary confinement, right? People are being tortured. And for over almost a month, there was a labor and hunger strike at Delaney Hall, 100% of participation. When have you ever heard a 100% participation in any kind of strike?
No, never.
Right. And I mean, I remember when I started organizing, I was a youngster, 2006. I don't know if folks remember A Day Without Immigrants in both LA and New York.
I do.
It was like 1 million people. Yeah. So that was like my first rendezvous into organizing, right? I brought out some of my friends from high school. We went to the city, took the pass in, whatever. And I've been in the struggle ever since. Yeah. And nothing has changed, right? In 2004, when I was in high school, I had just graduated high school, we had a raid in our house. Thankfully, obviously I'm still here. We were able to escape it, but this shit has been going on forever, right? It was with Bush, it was with Obama, Mr. Deporter in Chief.
Yep.
Mr. I'll drink this water at Flint. Fuck y'all. I'm still gonna drink this water, right? Like Mr. I brought back slavery to Libya. That's who, right? That's who some of these people are saying. Hell, I miss Bush, or no, I miss Obama. Some even people are saying they miss Bush. What the fuck?
Yeah. Well, that's the That's the Trump derangement syndrome. Not to say that Trump isn't bad, but they concentrate so much
Right.
on Trump that they forget everything that Obama, Biden, and Bush and Clinton all did. But let me piggyback real quick on what you were talking about your first time since I got you on the air here. 2006, A Day Without an Immigrant. The movement started from a radio DJ, a disc jockey, right? Like he was saying, these people are taking too much advantage of us. We have to show them what it's like and show how their industries would fail and fall down. It's like I often talk about. One of the times that Donald Trump said they're eating the cats and dogs, and he was implying that Haitian people were eating the cat, I got so pissed off because I live in South Florida. My aides that help take care of my mother are Haitian. The whole health industry would fall flat on its face. Flat on its, all the old people living here in Florida, it would fall flat on its face if the Haitian community packed up, went home, or were sent home. And it's disgusting the way they're living right now, scared to drive around because they hear the stories of ICE. 2006, A Day Without an Immigrant. I was working at Maggiano's restaurant. The DJ, the radio DJ, and we're here at a radio station. We're radio on the internet, right? This is how big their movement was. What they did was the whole kitchen crew hid behind the building, right? About 40, 50 people. Time is supposed to be coming. We're supposed to open up. You should have seen the manager, sweat dripping down his face. They don't know what to do. He's got to make a call. He's calling the corporate office. Should we shut down? They said, yes, shut down. There's nothing we can do. We cannot open because the immigrant population that has decided to make a stance, right, is not showing up. So right as he's about to go say, we're going to shut it down, we have all the waiters standing there, you know what I'm saying, like that list, kind of laughing. They all come walking around the corner, right, together, and they come walking in 40, and they say, just remember what we can do. Remember what happens to your industry when you say pack up and go home, when you try to deport us, when we're not here to work. Your restaurants can't even open. It was just an amazing movement. Then they got there, they got to work. We opened up our restaurant. But man, did they make the corporation sweat. And it was pretty awesome the way they did those things. So I'm so happy that that's the moment that set you off because I remember that like it was yesterday.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, we need to go back to that, right? This is a radio show. Yo, we need to freaking shut this shit down. Right? Yeah. They're killing us. They're bombing our people in the Caribbean. They're bombing our people throughout in Palestine, right? Drone striking in Haiti, right? Like Israel is literally taking over Latin America and the Caribbean under a Zionist plan Condor 2.0. And we are just letting this happen? Nah. That's not how we do shit. Nah.
I don't listen. That is the issue is I think though is how we come together because people are still split. I think the social engineers they're called that help the ruling class control us really know how to pit us against each other. Sleepy, were you trying to say something?
No, I'm muted.
Oh, I thought somebody coughed. My bad. They know how to pit us against each other. Somebody's saying, Newark, New Jersey, stand up. There you are. That's you, Claude. I mean, I thought someone was giving you props. You
if you ain't going to cheer for you, who will? Huh?
She's ready. She's like, Claude's ready and stuff.
No. As you know, I'm a hardcore Jerseyite.
How about them Knicks?
I'm from I'm from the People's Republic of New Jersey. Soon to be autonomous Pan-African nation.
You know, though, I want you to tag your stuff so people can go read about Delaney Hall. Yeah. I think it's very important. But yes, some type of movement needs to come forth, really, to tell you the truth. And I really wish they would go back to doing what they did in 2006, especially in the face of this president and all the people supporting these Gestapo tactics. These are Gestapo tactics. I was in Minnesota. I went and did reporting on it. I spoke to people. I spoke to the community.
Gestapo tactics.
Gestapo tactics, right? Yeah, we got that clip. You know we do, Nico. I was there. And I think the people have to understand, and this is what made me proud. And even though the people they disagree with me on COVID, they disagree with me on elections, they were good when it came to supporting Gaza and also for supporting the immigrant community in Minnesota. People in this country have to realize that they don't look at immigration the way they do, that they see what what they're describing as a stress on our financial system or our services or whatever, we look at it as human beings. First of all, the data that they're spitting out, they don't have data behind it. It's just all talking points. You know what I'm saying? When you look at the data, the immigrant community, whether they be undocumented or document, commit far less crime than natural-born American citizens, especially white people, right? It's way for when it comes to all violent crimes against women, right? That's mostly white men out there, right? I'm saying, I mean, you know, it's American crime. It's not immigrant crime. So what they're putting out there and pushing is false. Go ahead, Claudia.
No, I was just gonna say, right? Like literally, Alan Dershowitz is running around free. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
You know, like,
and going on TV like it's nothing.
No, that's a dangerous criminal.
How is he not shamed into oblivion? How does he keep getting invited onto shows?
Yes.
And I mean, I just let you know, like, there's a whole enterprise system propping up these weirdos because there's no way. Like, I'll get blacklisted for being willing. Like, I'm like my man Nick, where I'll say I'm about justice for Palestine. I'm not about just free Palestine. I was like, nah, they need reparations. Somebody got to pay. Yeah. And I'll get banned off of shows for saying something simple like that. But Alan Dershowitz can go touch kids and then defend Epstein. And they're like, hey, man, when's the next time we can have you back on? Like, what?
But he had it. He had his underwear on.
What? Exactly. Like, what? I can't, I mean, but that's the depravity, right? That's the depravity of this settler colonial empire and its Zionist colonial outpost in West Asia that not only is bombing Palestine, right, in Gaza and South Lebanon, but has also expanded to our region, to Nuestra America, right? Fee did a report for Sovereign Media, fantastic report on soldiers fresh off a genocide going to Machu Picchu to burn certain areas of literally Machu Picchu for us in the Andes, and not just in Peru, but literally throughout the Andes. That is our Mecca. That is our Vatican City. That is the holiest site for us. For Zionist soldiers to burn that down because the masses there said, we will not sell our land to baby killers, and then they burned it. What?
That seems pretty on par for Zionism at this point. It's just like
Argentina too, right?
Right. Yeah, the Patagonian.
Look at all the historical sites.
I know that the Zionists right now are eyeing the Amazons. You know, the Amazons have kind of to some degree been up for sale recently, and I know. Like they're not. I know that one of the reasons that the CIA and the U.S. interfered in Brazil's last elections and the ones prior to that for different motives, but same outcomes. They're doing it again, trying to get Bolsonaro's son in power because Bolsonaro is in jail at this point, and I'm sure his son wants to. If he gets in power, he's going to get his dad in jail.
Well, what do you want in Brazil? You want a vaccine salesman or a Zionist? That's your choices.
Yeah, right. Nah, I just want to stay in my little hole, my little.
That's your choice.
I have a wall that actually surrounds my house. I don't like to actually leave that often unless to go out in the nature. Not gonna lie to you. So,
and I appreciate Lula. Hold on, I'm gonna pass it to you, Claudia. I appreciate Lula coming from labor and everything like that, but I mean, still, like his attitude.
First Lula, that's cool. Yeah. Second Lula has actually been screwing the country over. So it's because like Pasta and Fiorella were here talking about it. Remember we talked about how there were people speaking English that were at these protests, not protests, but events on behalf of Lula. And it's like, what are y'all doing here? Well, I'm working with a nonprofit organization. Okay, what? What you mean nonprofit organization here to help a certain president get elected? That shouldn't be happening on either side, from the U.S. Yeah. So, it was pretty obvious what was going on. And we're seeing it happen again right now with Bolsonaro's son. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. By the way, Claudia, I just want to say too. Good. I just want to say to you, because you've done a lot of reporting, and I think that your reporting is so important. I just got back from Peru myself, but to tell you the truth, nice. I think I'm just I've been saying this for quite some time. The only thing that's going to save the planet at this point, the way things are going, are the indigenous people of Peru and the indigenous people of Bolivia coming forth, protecting their resources. And for people who don't know out there, the United States wants 3 countries very much under their control, and that's Peru, Bolivia, and Argentina. Why? They sit on the lithium triangle. We need that lithium, not we. The empire wants that lithium, doesn't want China to get a hold of it. And say what you will about China. When it comes to the situation, they come in with their checkbook, they'll pay top dollar for it. Their process of getting rare earths are a lot better than the United States, a lot cleaner. The United States comes in with their gun and their missile, controls the government, and then extracts the lithium for pennies on the dollar because they destabilize the country. And by the way, I don't want to just put it on the Zionist ball by themselves because they are working with the West and all that industry because it's still the American dollar that is still tagged to all the currencies in Latin and South America. So to make sure that our currency stays the global currency, that's another thing we do with these countries. We make sure that our dollar is pegged to their dollar. So it's not the Zionists by themselves. But Claudia, what have you been hearing about what's going on in Bolivia? Because it kind of fizzled out. Did they not run off the government yet and put Evo back in power, or are they just going to stand still right now? Because I know in Peru, it seems like they're accepting Keiko Fujimori, where I thought they would reject her. What have you heard from the indigenous people of those 2 countries?
Yeah, well, okay. So for Bolivia, and I'm actually going in a few weeks to Peru to visit family, and then Bolivia to be out there in Cochabamba. I'm actually writing a book on the lithium triangle and resistance to it from Chile, Peru, Bolivia, and Argentina, which I think before it used to, I think it's wrongly called the lithium triangle and maybe more of a square. But actually right before the 2022 coup against Castillo, in Macusani, Puno, the most southern state in Peru, which is right above Bolivia, it was found in Macusani what is believed to be the largest lithium deposits, even more so than Bolivia. So that is why the coup happened, right? In Peru, but even in 2019 against Evo, and people can check out my reporting on Black Agenda Report. I argue that Arce coming in 2020 was a second coup, right? The U.S., the Comprador regime inside Bolivia, the elites, we've spoken about this, right? I'm going to be writing about how independent journalism, very unfortunately, has been used to infiltrate our movement, right? There's a certain British Bolivian man living in China pretending to be in touch with Cochabamba when he has been banned from Cochabamba for betraying Evo, right? I'm talking about Oliver Vargas and Calsacho News because whatever. It's not.
We're getting deep here right now. So people is like watching season 3 of Game of Thrones and haven't watched the first 2 seasons, don't know what's going on. They talk about Arce and Casacho.
Right.
You got to follow her work so you can get caught up. Please continue. Go ahead.
Yeah, everyone should check out my reporting on Black Agenda Report because I've been following this for years. Not only from as a journalist, as a reporter, but I left. We were forced out of Lima during the 90s. In 92, because of the Fujimori and CIA-backed paramilitary group Grupo Colina that massacred, 15 people were massacred in my barrio, including an 8-year-old boy who was my brother's, one of his best friends, right? So I do this not just because it's politically safe, what we should be doing, but literally I grew up in this struggle, I'm from this struggle. I'm from the streets, right? Like when people say oh, we need to organize the masses, I am part of those masses, right? We should be a part of the masses. So I'll just say it's really important to sort of follow what is happening and from the ground, right? On the ground. We should be listening to Evo's podcast every Sunday, and now they're starting to do in English, right? Because I've been talking to them comrades, we need this in multiple languages because it shouldn't just be, it shouldn't just be Spanish. Literally the world should know what is happening. And so, yeah, I just want to say, you know, there's a lot happening.
Yeah.
I'm going to be writing about the situation from Cochabamba and interviewing Evo. Maybe I'll hook you all up with Evo in an interview, right? We can translate or whatever, interpret.
Still one of my favorite
really
Latin American leaders, by the way. One of my favorite Latin American leaders. I had statistics of Evo Morales. Evo Morales called out the COVID-19, the virus, before anybody else. Like, he was amazing on it. I want to say this much. When you look at Claudia's work, it is actually connected, boys and girls, to Catherine Austin Fitts and Whitney Webb. It's all connected. And if you want to understand what's going on the ground in the regions, the reason why there's an uprising, you look at Claudia's work. If you want to understand why the United States empire is in there trying to do so, you look at Whitney Webb and Catherine Austin Fitz's work, right? And Catherine Austin Fitts, some people say she's off the rock or whatever and stuff like that. Well, she was the Commerce Secretary under George Herbert Walker Bush. So she has an inside view to what empire is like, and Whitney can connect the dots. All the dots are connected. When you talk about that lithium, when you talk about those natural resources, you'll hear terms like what Catherine Austin Fitts will talk about. It's the control grid. It connects to flock cameras. It connects to the Constitution. It's all connected. But if you want to understand why, you got to go look at Claudia's work. She'll explain to you what's going on in the ground. And I can tell you this from a white man gringo who's got off his ass and gone down to Latin America. What we're taught, what we're told is nothing like what's really going on the ground. And people are willing to speak about their work down there. And even though I don't speak the language, they'll make sure that I understand what's going on because they want people to see what the empire is doing over there. I'm going to give you the last 30 seconds, Claudia, because we want to get on to the next caller. But please take it home and make sure you leave all your information in the chat. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to go follow her work. It is fantastic. Go ahead, Claudia.
Thank you so much, brother. I really appreciate all the work you guys are doing. I see the work that we all do on a spectrum and as part of a network of anti-imperialist truth seekers, whether that's through journalism or, you know, I have a few comrades that are also rappers, right? Like whatever we need to do to take culture and make it revolutionary and make it for our people, then that's what we need to do, right? So I just appreciate very much just the time, all the work y'all do. I'm going to be connecting, you know, especially when I'm in Peru, when I'm in Bolivia. I'm going to, you know, bop around the Andes for a little bit, probably go to Rio and Argentina. So I will come through some more. I'll have a better tan than I have right now. It'll be great.
Well, if you ever get to Florida, I know you can have it in Peru, but I got this meat store around the corner. I got this Wagyu filet mignon tips. I will make you an awesome lomo saltado like you've never tasted before from a white gringo here in America, because I can do it real good. I got the technique down now. I'm ready.
You're ready. Okay. All right. I'm gonna come through actually.
You got it. I appreciate your work. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for calling the show. I didn't even realize you were watching today. It's pretty awesome.
Always. All right. Peace, brother.
Definitely.
Thanks, Claudia.
Oh man, she's awesome. She's awesome. We hung in Nicaragua.
She got some fire. I love it.
Oh man. And you know, and like she said, being able to tie it all together, it's very important. I talked earlier in the show about staying in your own echo chamber, right? You can't do that. We want to be talking to people who think differently than us. You know, and like I say, it's all connected for the people out there who listen and watch Whitney Webb's work, and a lot of work she talks about in Latin America, right? In South America, in Central America, she talks about it. It's connected to what Claudia is covering, you know, and Claudia writes for Black Agenda Report, you know, the actual real social justice warriors who get off their ass and go to Latin America and have real solidarity with these people. You know what I'm saying? And Catherine Austin Fitts, who talks about this stuff. She worked for a conservative president and George Herbert Walker Bush, right? So I mean, we got to open up the doors, the lines of communications, the conversations, and I'm so glad that she called in. So just want to say,
I'm glad you made that point about just journalists, if they have the opportunity, making sure they actually go to South America, in Latin America, instead of assuming they know what's going on, because the reality is it's usually much more complicated. Like, it's not a matter of everybody likes this person or everybody dislikes this person, or everybody who's conservative likes this guy and feels this way. Everybody who's leftist likes this person feels this way. It's usually very, very complicated. And you can't really understand it or get a sense of it until you physically go there and interact with these people and understand that these issues are much more complex. Because, every issue becomes much more complex when you're not actually in total control of your politics. When the empire is running the show, it tends to complicate things. Like I see that in Brazil all the time. Brazil's I feel like in this infant period of its political awakening, right? They're still very much so locked into this duopoly mindset because they didn't have access to social media and cell phones and things like that in the majority of the country until recently. And when I have conversations about how much the U.S. government influences outcomes in the country, people are like floored. They can't believe how much they influence. I'm like, yeah, y'all didn't know? They're like, no, I didn't know that. I'm like, yeah, like, what do y'all think y'all have to take this vaccine for? Because, like, I don't know if you know, but I was talking about it. They have they started doing commercials, for vaccines in movie theaters out of nowhere. They never did that before. And I'm like, yeah, that's one of our companies. What? Why would they do that? I'm like, well, ask your guy. He's the president. You know what I'm saying? Like, it started with him. So it's very important for people, if you have the opportunity, go on the ground, try to find a translator if you can, and just talk to the people in Latin America to get a bigger picture of what's actually going on.
Nico, there's a lot of white men that try to colonize the planet, so there's a lot of English-speaking people everywhere. You know what I'm saying?
That's damn sure. Yeah, I mean, and to keep it a band, right? There's to be fair, like there's a lot of white people with resources that will take advantage of the opportunity to come to Latin America and tell that story, and they're it's not people's fault that they don't have resources. But if you are one of the rare ones who does have the opportunity and does have resources, and you happen to be Black, person of color, even a Latin American journalist who's living in the States, like, take advantage of that and go and tell the story from the perspective of someone who is part of a marginalized group from a country like the United States, because that story from your perspective is important to tell. Because like Pasta will tell you, you see white people take advantage of it all the time. And so then whenever there is a conversation to be had, for example, a very complicated conversation to have about Lula, there are a lot of people who are in the States that don't want to hear anything I have to say about Lula, despite the fact that I fucking live in Brazil, because Michael Brooks liked him.
Yeah.
And shook hands with him and hugged him.
It's so funny. I just saw a video of Michael Brooks come up the other day. I'd forgotten about that guy, and then he came up too as well. I think he hated on us on the way out. So you know what I'm saying?
He despised us on the way out.
He did.
He did. So
yeah, I didn't really. I can't shed a tear for people who knowingly lie. Like he did. So
yeah. I said it before. I respect where Lula came from, right? He came from labor. I understand that. At one point, when they jailed him, I think it was wrong. I think it was the United States apparatus doing so, you know what I'm saying? Because they wanted to get somebody in who was anti-China at one point. And Bolsonaro fucked himself over because he didn't want to do any work with China, and at least not enough. And yeah, the Haiti occupation in 2004, everybody talks about that all the time. Claudia, can you put links to your work in the chat? People are asking what your last name is. Where can we find your work? I want to make sure people can follow.
Black Agenda Report.
Yeah, she's on Black Agenda Report. But put links to stuff so people can, because a lot of people don't even know about Black Agenda Report.
Let me see if I can.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I am not
shadow banned as shit, dude.
Somebody asked, I don't know if Pasta's a member of the Independent Media Alliance. No, but yes. I'm friends with all them. I'm not really in the alliance, but I'm close with Jason Burmis, Derek Bros, T-Lav, Steve, all those people. Whitney knows me, you know what I'm saying? I've never got a chance to talk to or have a conversation with Catherine Austin Fitz, but I'm kind of like connected to them, but not. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm friends with all of them. I got no beef with them. I love the work they're doing, but not really part of the alliance. I'm part of the Mi Casa Su Casa network still with my man Nico House. So yeah, that's my alliance. You know what I'm saying? There is Black Agenda Report. There you are, guys. Get into it. Look at it. Go find Claudia's work.
Black Agenda Report. If I do got to say something, like I guess I didn't think about
Margaret
it. I guess
Kimberly.
they had because I remember whenever Black Agenda Report was like just going viral all the time. And it's like they're victims of their success because I don't know if you have noticed, but there are a lot of genuine Black voices that like hit this super high peak, really around COVID time, a little bit before. And then the more we were right about things, the more we started getting censored. Like
Ajamu was part of it too.
a John, there you go. So like it's I mean, I'm dealing with it on X right now. I was dealing with it on Instagram. Then they cut me some slack. Then X started, and YouTube started. And so it's like there is a concerted effort to silence Black voices and minority voices that are telling stories about minorities from the perspective of a minority. And it's important to continue to boost publications like the Black Agenda Report and those voices because they do some crazy. It's just I mean the in-depth analysis they give and the way that their follow-ups and the way they will track down stories and follow it for years so that it doesn't leave the public eye. It's super important for us to keep up with.
Guys, if you want to call in, we still got 20 minutes left. Do we have a caller? No, we don't. We have 20 minutes left in the show, kids. This is the call-in show. Call in and queue up and join the convo live at 561-247-2721. That's 561-247-2721. Says super producer Gabriel Freedom. Thank you so much. We see Nick's in the chat hanging on out. Nick, how you doing? Good to hear you. Good to see you.
I'm good, Nick.
Right to the Malta. We see a lot of people hanging on out, having a good on time. Guys, we want you to like the show, share the show. We want to get it out there. We do this every day of the week, Monday through Friday, from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern. On Mondays, we have an open show. Sometimes we've been having Alex Strenger join us. He didn't join us yesterday, but we usually have him or anybody else kind of popping in on Monday. Monday's the open day. Tuesday belongs to Nico House. He's here fresh off his vacation. Look at that tan and that smile. Wednesdays, we have Colonel Karen Kwiatkowski here. She does Judge Nap on Tuesday. She'll be on Judge Nap today. She'll be with us on Wednesday. On Thursday, we have Kyle Anzalone. I was on Kyle Anzalone's show last week. He writes for the Libertarian Institute, antiwar.com, that kind of thing. And on Friday, when he can make it on in, we love him, Andrew Zigman from the Action for Assange peeps out there. So we have a loaded schedule, and we're going to try to keep expanding the show. Gabriel Freedom, our producer, Sleepy J, we have meetings. We try to figure out a way we can increase our likability, our views, and get more people involved in the conversation. So we're open to any ideas you got out there. We're always listening, whatnot. So we thank you for participating. We do have a Patreon. It is listed down below. We're going to be cranking that back up. Hopefully, I'll be putting some cooking videos on that. I'm going to share my food over there on my Pasta to Go Patreon, so you can always help out. And all the other links are listed down below, whether you want to leave a super chat, a Venmo, PayPal, any of that stuff. It all helps out independent media. You guys are actually fueling the bus that we are driving. So thank you so much for participating. Let's get another caller, 561-247-2721. A lot of stuff going on there, Nico, that we could talk about. Iran has not been bombed for the last couple of days, I guess, unless I'm missing it right now. I haven't checked antiwar.com. A lot of people are talking about the COVID situation since the Fauci hearings. And
what about Sueta?
What's that?
How Nick Nick Shirley ends up in Spain damn near before the immigrants do the report that the immigrants are going to be there?
Yeah.
I'm like,
really? That guy was there, really?
Backwards. Def, D-E-F.
Huh?
How do you spell Fed backwards? D-E-F. He's deaf.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Fed.
Bro, Nick Shirley is about the most fed. I mean, like between him and Laura Loomer, but like Nick might be worse because at least Laura Loomer had like somewhat of a history of doing this. Like Nick just comes out of nowhere. It's like a high school graduate with a third grade speaking level.
Work is garbage. His work is garbage. I mean, it's just tribal garbage. It's confirmation bias. It's more Benny Johnson, Nick Sorter, non-talented, getting thousands, if not millions of views because it's controlled. It's narrative management. It's Mockingbird media from the right.
It's worse, though, because he goes and he covers these stories, right? And he covers these stories in a way that makes it look like it's a huge story connected to a larger issue. And the way he covers it's a lie. But then the fact that he's like trying to connect to this larger issue that doesn't exist. Like with Minnesota. He's like, yeah, look at what's going on with the Somalis and the fraud. And you're like,
Yeah,
huh?
forget about it.
So what are we
Terrible.
talking about? Is it the immigration that's a problem? Is it the fraud that's a problem? And was that a problem before or after? And is it really a Somali issue, or is it like a systemic issue? Or is the real issue that we should be talking about is the fact that Trump has bombed Somalia more than any other president in history?
And that's what
How
it
about we
is.
talk about that?
Yeah, it's about manufacturing consent for the empire to continue bombing Somalia, and they also want to split the country in two. And Israel has recognized Somaliland, and that's what it's all about. There's rare resources out there; they want it. You know what I'm saying? Also, that location is very strategically located, maritime, on the water. So they want Somalia. So what they do is they give you this phony story about the Somalian Dale Care Centers. Once again, it's racist at its core. You can say xenophobic. It's racist at its core. You know how many Somalians have been arrested and charged and convicted of a crime in Minnesota for these scandals? 40. There's 110,000
Really?
Somalians that live in Minnesota. 40. One of them is my friend, Boya J. Farah. He's going to call the show again. I met him when I went to Minnesota. He's an author, a journalist, and he's coming to talk. But it was awful, but it was great going to Minnesota to see the Somalia community, the way they interacted with the people out there, the way the people had their back. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to fall for that bullshit. So for Nick Shirley to go out there to do more media for the empire, to manufacture consent for the bombing, that's what it's all about. And by the way, there was a white lady ringleader who got convicted with the 40 Somalians, and you know that 40. There's 110,000 people. It was demonizing a community so they can manufacture consent for bombing. And Nico talked about it right there, plain and simple. Just disgusting work. By the way, I do have this one clip now in Florida. We have this guy named Fishback, right? James Thomas Fishback. He's running, I believe it's for governor against, Byron Donalds, who is a Trumper, whatnot. The data centers that Trump is pushing right now is kind of disgusting, by the way. You know, he's just pushing data centers because he's invested in them. This is everything he was supposed to be against. And it was kind of like what happened in the Trump administration the second time around on day one, the end of day one, getting close to day two, where you have Sam Altman and Larry Ellison up there talking about AI stuff and the contracts and the fact that there'll be cameras all over the place, this dystopian world. He was supposed to be anti-Klaus Schwab, anti-Fourth Industrial Revolution, anti-Great Reset, and here he is ushering in the technocrats. We got that from Obama when he told us that Citibank was picking his financial cabinet and stuff. We're like, wait, you're supposed to be the anti-Wall Street president, right?
People forgot the inauguration.
Yeah,
he had all of them right behind him. They were sitting at the inauguration, like, and they were like, I'm like, y'all believe he's gonna fight against these people that he invited to his inauguration? And a lot of them people he didn't even like the first time. Like they literally did not get along. And then all of them were together, and now we're seeing them get everything they want. Whether it be data centers or these fucking flock cameras. Jesus Christ.
all over the place.
That shit terrifies me.
Yeah.
These flock cameras, I can't believe that these
they're everywhere.
letting them slide.
And Nico, this is what you get with the conservative movement when they're back in power. They don't care about the Constitution. They'll capitulate to the fucking security state. Oh, it's for the bad. We got to catch the immigrant. We got to catch the bad person. We got to catch the criminals. So it's okay to piss and shit all over your Fourth Amendment rights. No, it's not how it works. That's not how it works. So anyways,
it's always a patriarch logic. Like, it's for your own good that we're violating your rights.
Yes, it's.
We want small government until we need big government.
James Fishback is running for governor and against Byron Donalds. Byron Donalds is the establishment pick supported by Donald Trump. Byron Donalds refuses to debate James Fishback and says, "Why would I debate him? He's not even hitting on the noise. He's not even making, getting in there and whatnot." It's like, please. So, since this is a radio show, I got to play this clip because Byron Donalds was on a radio show and James Fishback called in. Say, "You ain't gonna confront me on a debate? I'll just call into the radio show you're on." Trolling him completely. So we're gonna play this here. We'll have some last comments. We'll get on out of here. We got about 12 minutes left. This is James Fishback confronting Byron Donalds. I haven't watched this yet, so we're going to watch this together. Here we go.
We've got a call from Thomas in Jacksonville. Good morning, Thomas. Go ahead. Well, good morning, and good morning, Congressman Donalds. Happy first day of early voting. Congressman Donalds, you claim to be a staunch advocate of school choice. I just want to ask how you're going to hold charter schools accountable in the rare but serious cases when they defraud parents, investors, and taxpayers, namely Optima Classical Academy, which you and your wife abruptly shut down and left hundreds of students scrambling. I thank you for that question. Again, this is James Thomas Fishback.
Thank you, Mr. Fishback, for calling in. So that is a question from your opponent, obviously.
Sure.
But you have been a big supporter of charter schools, as has your wife. She's arguably one of the most influential figures in the school choice movement in this state, Erica Donalds.
Well, if you don't mind,
yes.
let me respond. First of all, I've been an ardent supporter of school choice ever since I've been involved in politics. When I was in the state legislature, I passed the largest expansion of school choice in its kind in the state's history to that point. It was the Hope Scholarship. I passed that legislation. We had that signed into law by then Governor Scott. Governor Scott signed that into law. When it comes to what my wife's companies that she had, she started and operated 5 charter schools in the state of Florida. They're all still in operations today. We've been very focused. She's been very focused and diligent on making sure that kids have every opportunity to get a world-class education and that their parents have the ability to make those decisions. I think to the one school in Southwest Florida, which is being talked about, they weren't able to open up that school on time, in part because of the aftermath of Hurricane Ian.
Well, you can see that wasn't as juicy as I thought it would be.
He was gonna waffle on that because the person was basically asking like, "Yo,
we got a last minute call."
Basically, just what we're gonna do about the accountability factor because you're refusing to address it, and he wasn't dancing around it so that he didn't have to address it. So,
yeah, caller, you're the last caller of the day. Where are you calling from, and who are you?
Jack from Morro Bay, California. Hey, Pasta.
What's going on?
Hey, man, long time. I haven't seen you since the fuck censorship in Hollywood, but that was years ago. Good to see Nico. And
hey, I was at that thing.
I know yeah, everybody was at that thing. All right, so Nico, good to see you, man. And since you're down, I think you're still down in Brazil. Is that correct?
absolutely.
All right. So I hear in some of the inside alternative news and some of the podcasts, the people that are expatriates, like in El Salvador or Costa Rica, that down in Central America and South America, it's all flipping to the right. And I know that sounds like left-right politics, but some people that are in the upper stratas getting the conservative vote or the strong man or strong woman vote, and interested in putting up more CCOTs. How do we work around this? That can't be the base. That can't be the voter base. Is it getting stolen? How do we work around this? And I'll jump off the air. Thank you, guys.
No problem. So, from what I've been seeing, it's a lot of overcorrection by the voters. It's not necessarily the voters' fault. The voters are responding to their circumstances and their issues based off of what the empire is doing in their country. It's hard for me to tell them, okay, don't try something different if you're getting the same results with this person, right? I'm not saying that they shouldn't be educated, they shouldn't make better decisions. Okay, yeah, that's all well and good, but when you've been dealing with the same thing for 4, 6, 7, 8 years, you want something new. It's like, well, shit, we could try it, I guess. What's it going to hurt? Or you just become completely disaffected and you don't engage at all. So there's that. But in Brazil, you have to vote. So it isn't that in Brazil. But yeah, it's the way that we can help as Americans is to hold our government accountable, tell people what's happening and what's going on, stay locked into how the U.S. is influencing Latin American politics, and make sure that they understand how as important it is for us to be in Latin America and ask them what's going on so that we can better understand. It's also important for them to understand that we have unique knowledge about how our country affects people that they aren't privy to. And I see it in Brazil all the time. When I tell people how our country affects Brazilian politics, they can't believe me. They do not believe me. They're like, there's no way that your country would be able to do all this and we wouldn't know about it. I said, why would you? is designed for you to not know, or else they wouldn't be able to get away with it. So I feel like that's what we can do on our part as Americans is just hold our government accountable and inform people, or making sure that people stay informed on how our government impacts Latin American countries. And those messages tend to permeate through social media, through the news. And I mean, I was surprised that I learned from a Brazilian that the CIA is here and that the U.S. is here trying to intervene on Bolsonaro's behalf. I learned from a Brazilian first. So, they're catching up. It's just we got to keep doing our job.
Let me just say this much as a person who's gone down to Latin America for the last several years, that it really does pay to go down there, because I can tell you firsthand that not everybody in Nicaragua, not everybody in Peru, not everybody in Honduras, not everybody in Cuba is a Che Guevara shirt wearing, we lost Nico, a Che Guevara shirt wearing socialist that is Viva la Revolucionaire, Viva la Revolucion, right? There are conservatives down there. There are people with different ideologies. There are people who support the empire, want the West in there. I can say that propaganda is a bitch, because propaganda does work. And there's a lot of people who are fooled citizens of Latin America who do want the West to get involved and talk negatively about, socialism and communism. I heard people in Peru, especially on my plane going back, the two people sitting next to talk about the shining path, right? How awful it is, how the communistas are terrible, whatnot. So let me just say this much, and Claudia can talk about this too as well. Propaganda does work. And there's a lot of people in those countries that think differently than what you think they might think, right? Like a lot of people think that everybody in Cuba is a pro Che Guevara socialist t-shirt wearing person. That's about that. Now, there are a lot of people out there for sure, especially the older community in Cuba. When I go on there, I'm seeing that are still much behind the revolution. But there's a younger generation that, they're like, the revolution was 60 years ago. We don't care about that. We want to eat. We want jobs. We want these things. And we're suffering over here. We don't want to wait long lines for gas. So the propaganda that it's their own country doing it to them, and it's not the blockade or the sanctions, really does work. So I will just leave it at that. That's why we do have a problem. That's where there are a lot of right-wing governments. I think that there is a lot of fugaziness going on in a lot of the elections, and it's really hard to cheat these elections, but there are ways to cheat the elections. Every single election has vulnerabilities, right? Even Nicaragua, which I think is some of the best elections, has vulnerabilities. So Colombia sure had them. Bolivia sure had them. Honduras has them. So just watch. The empire is coming, and they're going to try to steal stuff at all times. They want the right-wing governments. And right-wing and left-wing is different in Latin America than it is in America, right? Here it's all about culture wars, right? Which bathrooms you can use, woke, anti-woke, right? Latin America, it's about who controls the means of production, who gets the benefit. Is it workers' rights on the left? Is it nationalization of resources on the left? Or is it capitalism coming in and those markets opening up on the right? You know what I'm saying? So it means something completely different than it does in Latin America than it does in the United States. I want to thank all the callers for calling in today, especially the last caller from California. I think he said Zach from California, right? Sleepy? Was it Zach?
It cut out for a second.
I think he said Zach from California. He said he hadn't been around since the F censorship. My sister's son is here. My nephew's here. I shouldn't be cursing so much. It's too late. The whole show went by. But the F censorship was the movement me and Fiorella had started because we were getting censored back in the days, and it was really rough the way they demonetized us and kind of cut our momentum. It was really sucking what they did years ago. They've given back our monetization, but right now, we're operating in a system that's no transparency whatsoever, so we don't know how they're censoring us behind closed doors and how they're lifting up other voices. And I know they're lifting up other voices. We talked about Nick Shirley, Benny Johnson, Nick Sorter. These guys are idiots. They're tribal. Not tribal. I'm sorry. Gabriel's right. They're cultish-minded idiots. And they're pro-Trump no matter what, and they are terrible. And there's a reason why they're lifted up, because they are sheep herding the idiots, the low-informed, because they got to keep them on their side, because anybody who has half a brain right now can push back against Donald Trump and say, what about everything you promised us, you didn't give us, you're out. But these guys are still supporting him because they are supporting the two-party illusion to keep us in those parameters. Thanking all the callers again today. Joanna calling in was pretty awesome too as well. I mean, just a bunch of fun calls today. Jay Johnson opened up the show. Claudia calling in. That was amazing. So we had a fun time, and I want to thank you all. Tomorrow we'll be back same time, 8 a.m. To 10 a.m. Eastern time with Karen Kwiatkowski because it is Wednesday. So come on and join us there. Let's get to the closing monologue. We got 1 minute left of the show. Oh,
A little loud, my bad.
it's all right. Look, as we wrap up today's show, let's take a moment to reflect on the importance of diversity of thought and the peace we can cultivate with our neighbors. In a world that often feels divided, it's our differences that can actually bring us together. Every unique perspective, every story shared enriches our collective experience and fosters understanding. Remember, it's okay to disagree. It's how we handle those disagreements that truly matter. Let's embrace dialogue over debate, compassion over conflict. When we listen to one another, we open the door to meaningful relationships. By engaging with our diverse communities, we can find common ground and build bridges that promote peace. So I encourage you to reach out to someone with a different viewpoint. Share a meal, have a conversation, or simply listen. Let's create a ripple effect of kindness and understanding in our neighborhoods and beyond. Hey, thanks for tuning in today. Remember, together we can celebrate our diversity and pave the way for a more brighter, more peaceful future. So until next time, keep the dialogue flowing and the peace growing. I want to thank our producer, Gabrielle Freedom, who held it down in the chat, and everybody else there, like Fred Edward and all that, and Friendly Brilliant today. It was great to see Nick Cruz in the chat. Thank Nico House for coming on in on a Tuesday. I want to thank Sleepy J, who's been amazing on this. I love you all. We'll see you tomorrow. Go forth in silence and peace and peace. Not in silence. Go forth and be loud and peace.